What's up, everybody? This is Rob Arrington here for the weekly tournament results show. And what we're going to start with this week is just a peek back into last week's results. When you see this recording, guys, I'm recording these before the tournament actually finishes, right? So what I want to do is kind of bring you into the results from the previous week, kind of highlight some of the top pros that were on this leaderboard. And I want to use this to kind of explain how it's going to work every week as well. So as you can see, right here, we have the results from last week's tournament, and we see some of the pros are in the mix and a lot of the amateur players are near and at the top of the list. We have Nikki Hudak, who is a New York advancing bridge player who I believe just maybe made Life Master. Number 3 on this list, just below a New York pro, Sam Amer, who's super popular up there. We have Chris Wilenkin in 6th place, and I had one of my better results of the tournament. I was in the top 10, 7th place. And the way this works is the pros get rewarded points for actually only getting top 10s, right? So if they don't get in the top 10, they get 1 point for playing, and then they try again the next week. But because the pros are going to usually play quite well, we want to give them something to shoot for and make it pretty difficult for all of them. So you can see usually every week there's only about 3 or 4 pros in that top 10 that are accruing those points. So everybody really has a chance. And at the end of the month, I give the pros a small prize, and we go for it the next week. But you can see that quite a few people, very famous names, are a little bit below everybody. Radu Nistor, who's a top pro right there, only scraped together 19th. You have Brad Moss down here at 34th. Joe Grew sometimes is down there. Mikey Berkowitz is down here. So you see some of these very fine players, and trust me, I have been sub 50% in this tournament before, so no one is immune from having a bad set or two. And every week you will have a chance to just climb up this leaderboard. And you see, it's funny. We have some people. We have fathers of pros on the top list. Tom Grew is 9th, who has beaten his son Joe on the leaderboard. And also, I believe this is Kevin Bathurst's father-in-law, who plays every week as well. So it's a family game here at the weekly Pro-Am, and every player has a chance to affect the final score of the pros especially. So try every week, and maybe you'll see your name at the top of this list. Just like last week, I believe Steve Schaff was number 1, 76.74. Congratulations, Steve. And we will see who makes it to the top of this leaderboard at the end. This past week is the last tournament in January, so this will be for all the marbles. And let me show you what I did in my set, and we'll go through the boards one by one in a second here. So here are my results from this week's tournament. And when you see these results, guys, these are provisional results. So you'll be able to see this when you complete the tournament. And sometimes it might take a couple of seconds or two to kind of populate, but it'll say, hey, provisional results are available, click here. So what you're seeing, just like last week, you're seeing what my results are at about 3:50 p.m. on Saturday afternoon. So these results are subject to change, right? When more people play these boards, you're going to see the results fluctuate either up or down. I had a pretty solid week, I have to say. I was pretty happy. It seemed like kind of a little bit of a boring set, but certainly plenty of things that we can get into here. I did fall from grace pretty terribly on the last board. It was one of those situations where I made a decision at the end saying, I'm kind of bored. I want to shoot for a good score, and I shot myself in the foot, basically. So it was going good, 71, 81, and then 37.1% at the end. And no one I can blame but myself. I didn't get unlucky. I just did something dumb. So, and I'll share that with you in a moment. But let's jump in and take a look at the first board here, which honestly, the first several boards just seemed like they were going to go the same way no matter what happened. The first board, we just have to be mindful of the evaluation of our hand. And let's talk about this. First things first, East starts this auction by opening 1 heart, and East has a ridiculous hand. I don't know why they let us play 4 spades, to be honest. You would open 1 heart with this hand with 8 hearts, 4 diamonds, and 1 spade, but you certainly wouldn't be, selling out to or bidding 3 diamonds here on this auction. It's just a very odd way that the robot decided to bid this. And I certainly would not be letting us play spades when you can just compete in hearts. East, if you take a look at this hand, folks, that is what we call an offensive hand, right? This says, hey, Guess what trumps is? It's hearts. And I don't care if the opponents are being aggressive. I might think about a super high level decision, maybe letting it go. But for the most part, I'm going to compete as aggressively as I can with this hand. And the robots kind of let one go here by just letting us play 4 spades. But as the auction existed, it goes a heart on our right. And this is a very, very strong 15 count. Some of you may have considered doubling and bidding again. That's how good this is. If you think about it, Ace, King, 10, 9, 6, the spades. If we count our losers, we have 2, 4, 5, and maybe a 6th loser in the trump suit, or maybe more than that. But it's a really, really good hand. I don't think it's strong enough to be doubling and bidding. And remember, our overcall range, even when we overcall only at the 1 level, folks, is about 8 to 17, or if you're a little more aggressive, like 7 to 17 at the maximum. This is well within that range. If we find a fit, our hand is certainly going to appreciate in value, as we would expect. And here, it's amazing that West raises the 2 hearts, and East just, even with a fit in hearts, knows that they're not taking more than 1 heart trick, still decides to let us play 4 spades. So we can't critique the robots all day here, but seriously, with the East-West cards, if you're sitting East, just make sure you bid at least 5 hearts on this hand. Right? It's a spot where you cannot expect to be taking any tricks on defense, especially when partner raises your suit, okay? Now our partner bids 2 spades. Take a look at this hand, though. What might the robot have done here rather than just 2 spades, right? So if West had passed, right, if this is a pass here and not 2 hearts, as you can see, they're always going to bid 2 hearts. But our partner North will have a mixed raise available, which means they can jump Q-bid, they could jump to 3 hearts, and that would be perfect for this hand, about 7 to 9 with 4-card support. As it is, they might have chosen to preempt, but to be honest, I think they're just too strong, right? They have a 6 count as far as high card points, but their shortness in hearts looks like it's pretty darn good. They can't possibly know it's duplicated here with 1-1 in each hand. So on this one, I am very happy the robot didn't preempt. Even if they did, we would find our way to 4 spades just based on trumps in our hand. But here, I think they did a very good job of evaluating. This is a good 2-spade bid, unless you had some way to make a mixed raise, which on these auctions you usually won't anyway. Okay, so this is a spot where I think the robot did a very good job of evaluating. And now came the weirdest bit of the auction. Rather than just jump to 4 hearts with this East hand, they bid 3 diamonds for some reason. Like they're looking for game. And if I click on this, let's see what they think this is. Yeah, it's some sort of like game try. Come on, you have 11 trumps, just bid your game. There's no reason to go messing around. But as you can see, my hand just jumps to 4 spades. And this is how you're evaluating it. When the opponents have a fit in a suit that you're short in, that is a very, very good sign. And the reason it's a good sign is partner now is not precluded from having points and hearts, but they're just less likely to have wasted values in that suit. So what we can think here is that partners raise their values should be cards that are working for our hand. And as you can see on this one, we happen to be quite right. All the points that partner has are working, including the Jack of Diamonds, right? These cards are all workable cards, and Queen of Spades with 4 of them wasn't as necessary, but still a pretty good card to be seeing in that dummy over there. So at this point, once we get to 4 spades, it's shocking that they let us have it. And if you look at the sacrifice possibilities, just from an East-West perspective, when you are considering what to do, you have to ask yourself, okay, if the opponents are making 4 spades, which from East perspective looks like a pretty much done deal, what do we rate to go down if we sacrifice? And here, we would presume that we would make a penalty double, right? So always assume that if you take a sacrifice, your opponents are going to double for penalty. They lose 1 spade, right? They will now lose only 1 diamond, because guess what they can do to diamonds? They can rough them in dummy. So really, the opponents could compete to the 5 level, get doubled, and just make this thing. Because honestly, after this auction, how the heck are we going to think that righty has ace, king, queen, 8th of hearts, right? After they only bid 3 diamonds. It's just such a wacky spot. We would not expect, in fact, I would, if they bid 5 hearts and I double for penalty, I would say, yeah, we're killing this thing, right? I have 2 outside aces and ace, king of trump, right? So, and partner raise, they have some values over there as well. As it turns out, we can't really touch this thing. It's pretty brutal. So now let that be a lesson to you. When you have this suit, especially when partner raises, guess what, folks? That's trump. Make sure it is. Right? Make sure you make your bids. The play is pretty straightforward. Let me kind of show you what happened here. It goes heart. Obviously, they win their queen. And by the way, this is the most shocking thing ever. When dummy tables a singleton opposite your singleton, first of all, you're a little upset, right? You're just like, okay, well, that's a wasted singleton that I'm seeing over there. But you're also like, whoa, the opponents have 11 trumps and they bailed over 4 spades? Okay, so here comes a diamond back. This is a guess point right here. So the problem with playing the ace here is if you play the ace, you're just dialed into losing 2 diamond tricks, okay? Which isn't necessarily the worst thing, because honestly, if you cram out that diamonds, right, you'll be able to pitch a club. But we're playing match points, right? So we want to have the best situation possible. You might be thinking maybe this is getting rough, but really, right-hand opponent showed diamonds, right? So they have to have some length. We don't expect it to be 5, and if it is, guess who's on lead after they win this trick, right? If West has a singleton diamond, they can't get their ruff right away. So we should be very confident and duck this, right? And think of how you would play diamonds if the opponents didn't lead this suit, folks. How would you play this diamond suit? Well, it would be correct to get over that dummy, play the jack of diamonds, take a finesse. If that loses, get back over there, take another finesse. And that's exactly what we're doing here. And we can safely do it because we know East has some diamond length, right? That 3 diamond bid was helpful. And think about this again, back to the auction. If East just bombed 4 hearts, we wouldn't necessarily have this information. But to be fair, we would probably consider playing this the same exact way, right? And here comes the win of all time, right? They win and then they return a diamond, which now doesn't matter where the king is. We are now cramming together a diamond trick, boom, boom, right? And now we're just going to draw some trump. And here, what we're hoping at this point is that we can get a pitch, right? So at this moment, we should see that we have a club loser, right? We have a club loser right here that we need to try to get rid of. The best place to get rid of that is on that diamond right there. So I think it's interesting. I think I cashed ace of diamonds. Yeah, I cashed ace of diamonds here. Maybe I can trick the robot to do something weird. Well, not the robot, but a human being maybe. Maybe I cross over and play the jack of diamonds, and now they cover. But really, if they're counting, they should know exactly what's going on, so they have perfect information here. So when this doesn't work, I'm interested to see what would have happened if I had let a club right now. So what I mean is, and let me dial this rule into you for all time. If I had decided to lead a club, which to be honest is probably the trickier play, it's the play I should have made at some point. What we want to do is lead a low club, and we want to actually insert the 10 when we get over there. And that's only if this player plays low, right? And if they do that, we're taking like a no risk situation here. We're trying to finesse for the queen jack of clubs, but only if they ducked that card, right? And if it wins, great. And if it doesn't, we just took the same club loser we're always going to take. The only weird spot here is if right hand opponent has queen jack tight, and we didn't have to lose this, but on this hand it doesn't seem that likely, especially on the auction that we saw. So the key though, as a defender, when you see this, when they lead low towards this holding, always split your honors, right? I'm sure the robot would do this. The robot's very good at this, actually. They don't get this wrong hardly ever. But when this happens, you have to make sure you do this because you have to guarantee you're going to get your trick, right? And what I mean by that is the only way we screw this up is if we play low. And Declare does get to win a trick with the 10, and now they have no club losers. When we split, we force Declare to play the king, and now we sit back with our queen and wait for our trick, right? Because the other honor is here, right? The difference is, what if dummy has the ace, the king, and the 10? Now, when you lead low towards that, let's say you just have 3 cards over here, 3 small. When you lead low towards that, splitting their honors reveals something, right? So now if they split, we win the ace. We can come back and now finesse for the other honor, right? But when there's only one honor, always split. Same is true with like ace 10 third, right? And you have king queen before that. Split your honors. Make sure they don't slide in a trick with that 10. And now you've lost an extra spot. But here, pretty much after this play here, I decided to just play a whole bunch of spades. And honestly, I was hoping I might be squeezing or pseudo squeezing my opponents. Here's what I'm doing. I'm pitching the clubs from dummy and keeping the club length. Again, I didn't expect this to be happening because I thought West had more than 3 hearts, let's put it that way. But really, this was just a shot in the dark. This was nothing that was going to produce an extra trick unless something weird happened. And at this point, I just take my 2 clubs and then give them the jack, and that's it. So 4 spades making 4, pretty good result, right? 71.8%, and that'll show you that you don't need to do anything brilliant, guys. You don't need to be like absolutely amazing on every single deal, right? All you need to do is kind of be normal, right? Don't make any big mistakes. You're in a game, make sure you make your 10 tricks, right? And here, you're going to get to 10 tricks regardless of what you do. If you ended up losing 2 diamond tricks, you get a win by being able to pitch a club, right? So here, this is a spot where you really can't get a ton wrong as long as you're playing 4 spades, okay? I'm interested to see if anything else happened on this hand, anything weird, but it looked like it was relatively normal. Let's take a look at number 2 now. Number 2, it's an interesting auction. The problem appears right away when East opens 1 club, right? So East starts the auction with 1 club, and you're stuck with this hand. If you had a double, let's say you had a 3rd heart and shorter clubs, maybe you double. In fact, I probably would lean towards doubling with hands like this more often, but you're stuck for a bid and you have 15. I like to maybe be a little bit better when I overcall 1 no trump vulnerable, but it's a robot tournament, so I'm pretty aggressive with my no trump ranges anyway. The weird part of this thing is that the robot has a different system in this spot, and they probably shouldn't. Here's what I mean by that. When it goes 1 club, we bid 1 no trump. 15 to 18 balanced. Remember, you're about 1 point higher on your range when you're overcalling 1 no trump, just because you want the flexibility to do that with those good hands. And left-hand opponent bids 2 clubs, right, which is just kind of a club raise. I would have systems on in this position, so my partner could transfer me. What I mean by that is over 1 no trump bids that are natural, and this 1 no trump overcall is a natural bid. It's showing a no trump range and a balanced hand. We should play systems on when the opponent doubles. Right, so now we just pretend that double didn't exist. 2 clubs would be Stayman, 2 diamonds is a transfer to hearts, and so on. Hearts is a transfer to spades. 1 note after the no trump overcall, they bid 2 clubs. Partner can now double to bid Stayman, and then we should keep 2 diamonds as a transfer to hearts and 2 hearts as a transfer to spades. Any other bid by West that's natural, we have no systems on, right? Unless we have some sort of specific agreements. Okay, so we should play systems on over double and 2 clubs, and that should be the case when we overcall 1 no trump as well. I find it very easy for your partnership understandings when you basically play the exact same thing after you overcall 1 no trump that you would play if you opened 1 no trump, right? So don't complicate your lives and have to remember 2 different systems for 2 unique situations that are pretty much the same, right? So this is a spot where we could have maybe right-sided this contract to have the strong hand play, but it wasn't going to make a ton of difference. The one thing we have to understand is when we get back to kind of old school agreements, this 2 spade bid, when we don't play any sort of transfers, is just what we would call in the old school game a drop dead bid. I wouldn't expect it to be more than 6 or 7 points, to be honest. It says 6 to 9. I would be shocked if it's more than that here. So 2 spades is just, hey, I want to play spades. When that's probably what they wanted to do. The better way to play it, though, would be to keep that transfer alive and bid 2 hearts and let us play spades. But we get to play a really easy 2 spade contract, and look at this hand from the very start. We have 2 heart losers and only 1 club loser on this one so far, right? We may have a spade loser, but a rule is going to help us in this situation. Let's take a look at the opening lead, and it should be, as clear as day. Now, one weird thing, and if you didn't catch this yet, or if you haven't seen any of our other robot bridge tournaments, the robot plays king from ace king. So when you see the king from them, just understand that, it could be king queen for sure, but it is also very likely to be ace king, okay? I would recommend, if you're playing your leads as standard, I would play ace from ace king and then king from king queen, obviously. So it's just, that would be more of the standard version of this. But just realize you have to know what your opponents play, and they do play the king from ace king in these spots. So after this trick, I think they just they switched to a club. Here's one really important spot, okay? You don't want to play low from this holding, just in case lefty has the correct cards. You want to try to promote a trick. So you're going to play the jack just to make sure you force out either the ace or king behind, and then maybe you get a surprise, hey, I want to cash my honor, and they set up a trick for you over there. But here you see they return a heart, and now they return another heart, and look at this. What did they do? They give us a ruff in the dummy, which is fine, right? We're happy to take that. And now we just get to the business of drawing trump. And here is the deal, guys. We should play 8 ever, 9 never in these situations. And what I mean by that is when we have not an abundance of information and we have 9 trumps and we're missing the queen, we should never take the finesse in that suit. However, if we have 8 of that suit and we're missing the queen, we should always take the finesse in that suit. Remember, this is only when we're finessing for the queen, folks. Don't put this into the king category or anything like that. You essentially just always finesse for the king, basically, up until about 11, and even that's close. But if you have 12 in a suit, don't finesse for the king. All right, so that's very important. It's a good one. If you have 12, the drop is probably right. If you want to do the math, you'll see what I'm talking about. But here, 8 ever, 9 never just says, okay, we play for the drop. So here I play the ace of spades, and then you get a read. You'll see if the robot does anything weird here, but you play the king, and there goes that drop. Now the question is, well, how do we take the rest? Well, they did a very good job of setting up our jack of hearts over in our hand in the north. So now, guess what? We use that, and sorry, I claimed here too quickly, but here's my claim. I'm going to play that jack of hearts. I'm going to pitch that jack of diamonds, right? That is the only loser I have, right? So that is going bye-bye, and then I win the ace king of diamonds. I ruff a club, and then I can ruff a diamond and dummy, and now I don't have to take this diamond finesse that's going to lose. All right, so at the very beginning of this hand, the big mistake was taking too many of those hearts, right? So here comes the club, heart to the ace, right? And now heart back, that just gets that queen right out of there. Now at this point, we could have done this ourselves as well. We could have roughed a heart at some point in the future and knocked out that queen. And to be honest, we would have tried that before trying a diamond finesse, right? So take a diamond finesse if you need to, but try your best to avoid it. The pro tip in all these situations is if you have a finesse, try to avoid it. Look for ways to avoid it, and if you can't, by all means, take that finesse. Certainly don't do anything weird on top of that. But try not to take these finesses in here. You did not have to. So that was board number 2. Being in 2 spades, making 10 tricks, 81.5%. I'm interested. The one bad thing here is we didn't want to double with this hand, right? So, and the real problem is some of you might see this and think you can't overcall a no trump, which is, I always would, especially in a robot tournament. But you definitely can't double, right? And it's because you only have 2 hearts. Right? So if you double and partner chooses hearts, you just have to let them go in their heart fit. So sometimes they're playing in a 4-2 fit, and at best maybe a 5-2 fit. You're still not going to have a trump fit in these spots. So be very careful. Make sure you have the right shape. No trump looks like it's the only call we can make other than pass, right? But passing seems like it might not be great in this sort of format. All right, guys, let's take a look at number 3, which was kind of an average result. And that usually means either, I left a trick on the table, or it just means it's a very, very normal score. Let's see which one that is. And for my money, it seems like a very normal score. The robots do a very good job of defending, and the auction is super normal, right? We open 1 no trump, partner transfers, and we accept the transfer, but we do not super accept. Some of you might have super accepted this. And I have to be honest, I didn't mouse over all the bids. The robot does have a few different ways you can super accept, but let me tell you this. For our standard purposes when we're playing transfers, a super accept would be when we jump to the 3 level of partners majors. So a super accept would look like this. Instead of 2 hearts, you would bid 3 hearts. You're supposed to have 4 card support and partner suit to do that. We're there. You're also supposed to have a maximum, which is 17 or more points. We're not there, right? So here, we just accept the transfer as normal. And then partner jumps to 4 clubs. And if you don't know what this is, don't forget, mouse over that and see what they're talking about. This is what's called a splinter bid. And this just says, clearly we have a heart fit, which, they've gone to the game level with this. And our partner is advertising that they have 1 or fewer clubs. Now, this is kind of good news, bad news for us. Hang on a sec. It's good news because we know we're not losing more than 1 of those tricks, but it's kind of bad news because we have what looks like wasted value in that suit, right? So Partner is already showing that they have a singleton or a void. So we're either losing only 1 or 0 tricks in this suit. So this is 3 points that would be much better placed elsewhere, right? Like, I don't know, the king of spades if possible, right? The king of hearts would be a better place for it, right? Queen, jack of diamonds, certainly a better place than the 3 points here, right? So I'm not saying we can't have wasted values and want to play higher than a game. What you want to say is, what have I told my partner? And how does this bid affect the value of my hand? And here I've told my partner I have 15 to 17 balanced, and I'm saying to my partner that I haven't shown anything about hearts, right? So partner just knows I have 15 to 17 balanced. And here's the thing. Are we better or worse after that splinter bid? Well, we're better because we know we have a really nice heart fit. But we're worse because we're at the minimum side of our value. We're right at 15, and 3 of those points appear to be worthless, right? And the king is usually not a very good card, right? Partners, and let me tell you one other thing. Partner is very unlikely to be splintering with a singleton ace. That's usually bad for business. So here we should be pretty confident that these 3 points that we have in clubs are just not the best for us. So here, knowing what we've told them, even though our heart suit's quite lovely, we're just going to bid 4 hearts because our value is just a little bit wasted. If we have the ace of clubs, I would not consider that a wasted card, right? It might be slightly wasted if partner has a void, but if they have a singleton, it's magic, right? So here, it's because it's the king, or like queen jack would be bad, king queen would be terrible, right? So in spots like this, just evaluate your hand based on what your partner knows and how their bid, their shortness affects your hand. So here we just get to play 4 hearts, and I have to say, everyone's going to open a no trump on this hand and pretty much have the same auction. The play is going to go spade to the ace, and then they're going to crank a spade ruff in here, and then they're going to take the ace of clubs. So you lose the first 3 tricks, and then look at this hand. It plays itself at this point, right? Now you have let's see, 6, 7, 8. You have like 12 tricks and only 10 tricks left in the hand. So you're doubling up on all your resources, but this is sometimes going to happen when you see this and they just get their tricks right away. So here, the reason you see that it's 58% doesn't mean, this was a play that was subpar. It just means so many others had this exact same auction, and as a result, they had the exact same defense also. All right, so here, anybody that got a little frisky, I would guess got a really bad score, right? If you decided to press forward to a higher contract, even just to the 5 level, folks, you're in trouble, right? You're in a lot of trouble because let's say you try to make a control bid, which you shouldn't, because the robots only play first round control. But let's say you mess up and bid 4 diamonds, and partner key cards and signs off in 5. Well, that same defense puts you down 1, right? So I'm always super happy when I bail out at 4 and there's a weird rough that goes on and we don't make 5, right? When people might have pressed forward, but it doesn't look like too many did, right? 58.5. I would say that's probably the flattest result of the weekend for sure. I would take that to the bank. All right, let's see number 4. Huge hand for us. We love seeing this. This is how we bid this hand, right? And honestly, this is not how we bid this hand from North's perspective. Let me put it that way. But this is how we bid our hand. We were going to open 2 clubs, and we plan to rebid 2 no trump. The robot makes this bid way too often. They bid 2 no trump so frequently with hands like this, when in reality, guys, we're supposed to bid 2 diamonds, right? You bid 2 diamonds and you wait for partner to actually pick off the no trump so that strong hand can actually be the declare, and we're not revealing all this information to our opponents. So this is really a poor choice of bids by the robot, but they make it so frequently. The one thing you have to understand, folks, and so many people get way too excited in these spots, you've shown 22 or more points. So when partner bids 2 no trump, and you have only 22, you're at the lowest end of your range. Just bid 3 no trump. Partner knows you have some sort of balanced hand with 22 and probably likely 22 to 24, right? That's our range when we open 2 clubs and rebid 2 no trump. What they've done here is they've made their hand the declare, which, sometimes might be great for us based on the opening lead choices that they might have. But other times it's just, we're just revealing the entire hand when our hand gets face up in the dummy. But don't get excited. Make sure you understand, just like the last hand, when you opened one no trump, you started at 15. Don't fall in love with that. Partner knows that's what you have, minimum. This is even more clear, right? Partner knows you have 22 at a minimum point, so if it's right to go forward, they will be the ones that take that step. Okay. If you had a bigger hand, let's say you had like 24, 25, now maybe you bid 4 now, right? Which would be quantitative here and should show something like that. Very helpful also to mouse over the bids. Make sure if you're unsure, right, you have that little piece that can give you a tip as to what might be the best or what will be interpreted the best by the robot. So here, when you play 3-no trump, I'm not sure. I think I might have left a trick on the table here, but 77.2% on this board means it was probably okay. But if we take a look at this originally after the 10 of clubs gets led, we're just going to count our winners, and we're going to say, okay, well, we have at least 2 clubs. We have 2 diamonds. We have 2 hearts. And, oh, lucky us, we have 2 spades as well. So really, we're on the lookout for just one extra trick. And we have multiple places that can come from. I love looking at my 7-card suits, right? 7-card suits, especially 7-card suits with some cards in the middle, like this 10 and 9 of hearts are really nice. The Jack of Spades is a good card. We can create a trick this way. We're trying to just scrape together the fastest possible way to those 9 tricks. And if we get lucky and make more, all the better, right? So here, I see the 10 of clubs lead. I'm going to try to take a 9th trick right now by taking a finesse. Now here, notice that you're not going to take this finesse any way but this way because you lack the 10, the 9, and the 8 even, right? So if you were going to do this, if they didn't lead, right? If later on you were going to play clubs, you would take the finesse towards this king and jack. Either you will play the ace first or you'll lead low towards it. But that's the finesse you're always going to take. So when they make this lead, this 10 doesn't mean they don't have the queen, by the way. They could have queen, 10, 9, 4th, or longer, and they would lead top of an interior sequence. So don't think that you see the 10 that precludes them from having the queen. And a helpful way to think about this is ask yourself what you would lead from queen, 10, 9, 4th, or 5th, right? It's right to lead the 10. In fact, I believe it's on the convention card as well, one of those leads. So here, I just put in the jack to see if I'm going to win a 9th, and nope, not going to win a 9th. So there goes the ace of clubs, and now we're getting to the business of creating our side winners. So at this point, I play a heart to the 10. And this is what I talked about in one of those earlier spots. If East is a little asleep, right, and is looking at the queen, jack of hearts, and they decide to play second hand low, I will now take an extra trick without having to work at it. But the worst case scenario, or sorry, one of the better case scenarios is when this loses, I still have done something good for our side. And what I've done is I've led a heart and allowed them to win. And now once I cash the ace king of hearts, if they're dividing evenly, I will now be given an extra heart trick. Right, so in this case, you can see what's happening here, but when I'm playing this, I have no idea how this is going to break. But I'm allowing them to win the first trick because think about it. If I am going to try to set up an extra heart trick, I am going to have to lose a heart almost 100% of the time. The only downside is, again, one of those weird queen jack tight situations where you have to kind of where you have to play the ace king first and it drops, right? But here we didn't really have a ton of chance to test that, and I'm just trying to set up the ability to take an extra trick at some point. And now they return a club, and here's the interesting part. I duck this one because I want to still disrupt their communication, right? We won the first trick. We could have ducked there as well. Here I'm making kind of a delayed duck of clubs because I want at least the possibility, if I give them another trick, that they can't lead back to their partner. And I'm going to show you how this works in a second. But before you calculate whether you should do this, right, while I'm here, let me tell you my thought process. I've taken one trick already. I'm going to count my winners again. I have one club trick. I still have 2 diamonds. I still only have 2 hearts, and I still only have 2 spades. So that's 2, 4, 6, 7, and 8 here when I add that. Can I afford to duck this trick? Well, I can lose 4 tricks and still make my contract. Is this going to possibly set me up to lose 4 tricks? No, it's going to set me up to lose 1 trick that I'm always going to lose, right? I haven't lost anything more than a club here that I'm always going to lose. I'm not going to make 11 tricks on this hand, right? So I can get 2 losers in the books and even another one and still be pretty darn successful. So that's what's happened at this point. And now they clear out the club suit like they should, setting up partner, okay? Now I cash the ace of hearts. And I don't believe I tested hearts just yet. Yeah, here. I am hoping now to try to set up a spade trick, and then at the end, my plan was to test hearts and see if that was working, and then later on, maybe I can develop that jack of spades over there at some point as well. So I'm trying to dip into multiple spots where I can take an extra trick. And also remember, I saw them play that last round of clubs, so I know in my head that only one club is out there. So if I do surrender a trick to them and they happen to have that last club, the worst case scenario is they will take it and I will still have my 9 tricks to run, okay? So here, I'm playing the ace of spades just in case I see the queen, and now I'm hoping the queen of spades is over here to my left, right? If it is, I'm pretty likely to escape a club loser. And if it's not, like I said, the worst case scenario is I've now shortened spades again, and now I get to test 2 suits for a 3-3 break, or the win of all time. When I play this low spade, they hop queen, and now I know I have a 9th trick. I know that jack of spades is going to be a winner, and I'm hoping now they didn't have the long club, which they shouldn't because East is the one that led it. And here's the win, guys. We now get to play the king of diamonds. I'm playing it over there because I want to cash that jack of spades and then get back to my hand. I could do this in multiple ways here. And now, boom, I'm going to test hearts. And if these are 3-3, I'm going to take the rest, and bingo. The rest of the hand is over. I now know I can take spades, diamonds, and hearts. If you get to this spot, guys, and you didn't count, you should have counted. But if you get there, just make sure to take the king of spades and ace of diamonds first, and then see if the 4 of hearts is a winner. It's one of those times where you put it on the table and you're like, okay, yeah, I knew that. Yeah. All right. But here, nice taking multiple spots to take your 9 sometimes leads to a 10th trick, right? And the real crux of this one came when we ducked that second club, right? When we still disrupt their communication. Because now, if we hadn't done that, when West wins their spade, they lead a club and they take 2 club tricks. Right, so at this point, we now have dialed it in, kept the communication severed, and we were taking 10 tricks, which on this hand was 77.2%. Pretty good score for just being in 3-0 trump and taking multiple spots at multiple chances at victory there. And I just want to show you the full deal once again. 7-card suits are amazing, and that spade suit recognized once again. We can never take a traditional finesse, right? We can't go over there and play the jack of spades from dummy. Because always think of this situation when you're planning on playing an honor from one side to finesse for a higher one. If they cover, who's it good for? Is it our side or theirs? And clearly it's theirs. We don't have the 10 or the 9 again on this hand. So our only way to get an extra spade is to lead towards the jack, or if the queen falls under the ace or the king, which is unlikely. And notice we can't take the ace and the king and then test spades, because now the queen will just always take that jack, right? And the only way we're going to be victorious there is on a 3-3 fit. So here we had a victory even when spades didn't break by taking all of our chances. All right, guys, let's take a look at number 5. So this is a really interesting hand that the robot basically just takes the bull by the horns at some point. And the way to get them to do that is just to describe our hand the best way possible. Partner opens a club, and here's what we should immediately say to ourselves. We're definitely going to play game on this, okay? And we're not sure where that game is going to be. It might be no trump. It might be spades. It could even be diamonds or clubs for all we know, right? But at this point, all we can do is describe our hand, and the easiest way to do that is to bid 1 spade, 6+ points. I could have 26 points or 6 points, and 4 or more spades. And now partner rebids clubs. So many of you, I'm sure, in fact, I'm positive, so many of you saw this and you said, I'm going to bid a spade, and then I'm going to bid new minor forcing when my partner bids a no trump, because you just dialed in like, this is a new minor forcing hand. I'm ready. But then partner bids 2 clubs. How the heck do we handle this? Well, we handle it this way. We bid naturally, first of all, but even if we only had like 3 diamonds, 2 diamonds would still be a reasonable bid, because what are we trying to do? We're trying to find a fit in the spade suit, folks. And we're also making sure that partner cannot pass our bid, right? We have to be able to make a forcing bid and determine whether we have a spade fit. And take a look. When you bid 2 diamonds, partner jumps to 3 spades, which shows 15 or 16 total points. And here is the problem. After this bid, I want to make a control bid because I have more values and my partner has just shown a lot of extra value from their side. The issue is I moused over every possible bid I could. None of them were a control bid. And I also didn't want to make a weird bid by jumping to 5 spades. And I just don't have enough information to bid 4 no trump, nor do I know partner has the shape that will be useful for us for that sort of bid. So this was a weird one where I honestly tried to have any sort of bid that would show extra values, and I couldn't find one. So I just bid 4 spades. And now partner bids 4 no trump, which is amazing. Remember, it didn't affect this hand, but the robot plays 0-3-1-4 as their key card, so just recognize that when you see this in the wild or in the robot tournaments. Here we had 2 key cards with the queen of trump. We have the ace of diamonds, the ace of clubs, and there's the queen, so that's 2 with the queen, 5 spades. And partner just kicks it into slam. Beautiful. Now, the play of this is very, very simple. Watch what happens. The opponents lead the queen of clubs. We might be worried about a ruff, but we're going to win the ace of clubs. And the question is, when you see this, should we take a spade finesse? Shouldn't we? Right? I definitely would take a spade finesse here. And I just would hope that the club wasn't getting roughed or the spade finesse was just going to be winning. Some of you may have led a spade to the ace and a low spade. That might be even more of a disaster because now either player could win and possibly give the other one a rough. So here it's kind of a situation where the robot solves it for you. They just cover your queen with the king, which is probably the right play with king small. And now it's claim city, folks. You'll play spades at some point. I actually saw this as a spot where I can still rough a diamond safely and then draw trump and deal with the club suit later. As it turns out, the clubs just solve itself with that jack, and we're just going to take all 13 tricks. Do not freak out, guys. If you did this, doesn't mean you should be in 7, right? You were missing the king of trumps. You're never going to bid a grand slam off a key card. So you're perfectly fine to be in 6 spades, making 7 for 1460. And that was worth 77.9%. Very interesting considering that this should have been a pretty normal auction. I'm guessing that some players just maybe didn't find their spade fit, possibly, right? It's possible they could have actually, over 2 clubs, maybe you just bid 3 no trump or something like that. But remember, your priority is to find major suit fits, right, and play games in those because you're going to get the biggest bang for your buck. It scores almost the same as no trump, and we're usually just taking more tricks more easily in these contracts, especially when we have a little bit of shape, right, 2-2 in those minors. And we know partner has a 6-card club suit. These hands are just better played in a suit if possible. So here, finding a spade fit is very, very important. Make sure you make a forcing bid. And now when partner shows a fit, it's all systems go. And the robot did a very, very good job of evaluating their hand and getting us to this nice slam where we take 13 tricks. All right, let's see the last 3 boards here. Another very straightforward auction. And another 8 ever, 9 never on this one, guys. We open 1 spade, and partner just makes their normal 3 spade bid, which I have to tell you, I would have splintered with the north hand or just bid Jacoby 2 no trump. And let's look at the evaluation of this hand. The robot has a solid 11 and singleton ace. So I don't like splintering with singleton aces, but this is a game forcing hand, folks, right? This is 11 high card points with a singleton, right? So that's an opening hand. I would just bid Jacoby 2 no trump with this hand. As you can see, guys, it's not going to matter, right? We're gonna bid 3 spades and then 4 spades essentially, and our partner's probably just going to sign off in 4 spades anyway. But when they bid 3 spades, they give us a chance to go wrong. Our job is to evaluate our hand, and I want you to think of this range when partner makes an invitational bid. And an invitational bid is 11 basically. That's our center line. It's a good 10 to a bad 12, right? That's our game forcing range. So, our invitational range. Excuse me. When we're thinking about that, or when we're across from that bid, I want you thinking 12 to 14. Think of that range. That's your minimum range that partner is kind of determining whether you're at the low or high end. Think of that range, 12 to 14. Well, this is 13. It's right in the middle. What makes it more of a maximum? Well, it makes it more of a maximum that it actually has a 5-card suit in it, right? Think of this, even though partner already knows that we have a 5-card spade suit, it's still worth more. And I'm not saying shortness in the long hand is worth a ton, but having some sort of short roughing value in this, or at least a value that's going to keep us from losing more than the certain number of diamonds here, it's just an upgrade a little bit, right? So here, at this point, with a solid 13, a very nice spade suit here, we're just going to kick it into game, and we're very happy that we do so because we can just rip off 11 tricks on this if the opponents do what they did on this one. Let me show you that. Here, as you can see, king from ace king once again from the robots, and they just take their 2 tricks. And now they set up a winner for us over in that dummy. So at this point, all we're concerned about is spades, right? You should recognize that you're never going to lose a club because you get to rough one of those in dummy. The heart is good. Diamonds are good as well. So here, this is all about drawing trump. And we play 8 ever, 9 never. However, you can definitely mess around with the robots. Lead an honor from one side if you can afford it, right? This is a spot where, I mean, if trumps break really badly, this might be bad for you. Like if lefty has, no, it's actually, sorry, forget what I said. It can't be bad for you. You play the jack of spades. If they cover, it's beautiful. You'll just take those tricks. If they don't, though, we still play the ace, right? We gave him a chance to help us out so we don't have to guess it. And here we already planned on playing 8 ever, 9 never. So here we are. We play the king of spades. Boom. And then the hand is over, guys. We can't lose any other tricks at that point. Easy claim. I think this had to be one of the fastest tournaments I played because I think I claimed like 4 hands very early. So I should time myself at some point. But to be honest, I should have taken a little more time on the last board that I'm about to show you. But let's jump to number 7 first and see what I did there. And to be honest, I forgot to mention something on this board, guys. 80.9% seemed a little high to me. So what I'm guessing is that those of you that opened a spade and saw 3 spades, you probably didn't bid a game. Right? You maybe just didn't kick it into 4, which, again, it's on the edge for sure. I just think with these quality cards, like if it was like a random queen and then a jack and then a queen jack here, different story. But ace king, king king, some good intermediate cards, right? I think it's well worth it when you're in the middle, right? Think of that middle hand as, hey, is it a good 13 or is it a bad? This would be a good one in my book for sure. So I would guess the lower scores on this one worth in 3 spades, not getting that game bonus, unfortunately. But we'll take a look at that, and you'll take a look at that when you see these results, guys. All right, so let's jump into number 7. I love when we have 2 versions of the same conversation in the same tournament because now we get to see a real super accept. On this hand, number 7, we open 1 no trump with our 17. No reason to upgrade this. We're 4-4-3-2. So here we just open 1 no trump and partner transfers to spades. Well, do we have 4 card support? You bet we do. Do we have a maximum? Actually, absolutely yes. In fact, we have more than a maximum because we actually have a doubleton. That's a shortness value. We have the short trumps on this hand, even though they're beautiful. We now have about 18 playing points. So we want to make sure the reason the super accept is so good is when we do it, partner with those marginal hands like the 7s or the 8s, right, that they were maybe thinking about passing. They just easily kick it into game. And they wouldn't do that if we didn't bid 3 spades. And that's why, folks, we have to have both a maximum and 4 card support, right? So we're not going to do this without this because partner is supposed to kick this into game even with some good 6 counts that are well put together. Yeah, let's play some game, folks. So here, when we bid 3 spades, I would guess the robot would have raised at least 1 time to us, but I'll be interested to see. I think the 64.4 means that, yeah, the robot probably kicks it into game if we don't super accept, or excuse me, invites. I don't know if they would bid game, but they would at least invite with this one, but we can take a look at the results afterwards. But here, we don't even have to give them that terrible of a choice. When we super accept, it's clear, right? They know what to do, and we play 4 spades. The play is pretty straightforward here. You're going to see what they lead here. Easy king of hearts lead, right? And now we should understand we have 2 heart tricks, right? Recognize when they lead the king, what must they have? They have to have the queen behind it. So make sure you take the ace of hearts. Clear that out of the way. And now later on, we get to lead a low heart towards that hand. And that jack will either take that trick, which means we don't lose any hearts, or really the more frequent version, the better version, is they hop up with the queen because they have to. And now that jack of hearts can be used to pitch something from our hand. Where else can we pitch cards from on this deal? Well, it should be obvious that when we set up some clubs, we will be able to pitch some diamonds from dummy, right? So here, we have to recognize our losers are here, and here, and 1 in this suit, right? Which losers can't we avoid? and it should be very clear we cannot avoid a heart loser unless they do something terrible. And we certainly cannot avoid losing the ace of clubs. But if we take one of those losers first, or both of them, we now have ways to get rid of other cards in our hand. And let me show you how that went. So here, very important, playing the ace of hearts. And think of this as if you were playing no trump, folks. I see this happen all the time. Sometimes people duck, right? They're trying to make a hold-up play because they think their opponent's going to lead the suit again. Guess what? They will frequently disappoint you. So take your trick when you have it, and then you'll cover that. You'll get that jack at some point, usually just by normal play. And here, no reason not to draw trump. And the trumps break terribly, but hey, that's the beauty of having a 10-card fit. This doesn't hurt us at all. So after we draw trump, first priority, guys, get that club suit played, right? We want to pitch this diamond over here before the ace of diamonds is out of our hand, right? If we decided to mess around, let's say we played hearts first, right? Let's say we recognize that we get that heart, and now it goes heart, and they go, oh, well, I'll play that queen, and then I'll play the jack of diamonds or a low diamond. And now this is gone, and now when I go to play a club, they get to cash a diamond. Terrible, 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 right? So get that club on the table immediately. They'll duck. And now we lead a club back to the king. You have to be persistent. You still haven't set up your pitch yet. And now they just go ahead and take the queen of hearts. Good for us. We didn't have to make that play towards our hand. If they didn't do that, folks, remember, lead towards it, even though you could rough that anyway. So it's not the hugest deal in the world. But here, now we see the diamond get played. Boom. Too late, folks. There goes that ace of diamonds. Here goes that king of clubs pitching that diamond. And the rest is history, guys, making 11 tricks, 64.4%. Another board I would guess was pretty straightforward for everybody. Like I said, I'm pretty sure North is at least going to invite, which we're going to accept. So we're bound to play 4 spades. And as long as you play clubs before diamonds, guys, you're going to take 11 tricks, get rid of that loser. Now comes my shame. My shame. I felt this entire time. First of all, I was playing it way too fast, right? I kept claiming very quickly because some of the hands after the first few tricks were just essentially over, right? So here I get to this last board and I fall in love with my hand, right? So let's look at this. Perfect preempt by the East player. The opening bit of 2 diamonds is magic, right? I love this hand. The suit is great. The stiff spade is a huge reason to get in there and preempt, so all things go for this hand. I think very normal to overcall 2 no trump with this. We could double as well. I would guess some of you doubled, but here I have an 18 count. So I would much prefer to get this shape and these values and the fact that I have a diamond stopper on the table at this point. So my choice was 2 no trump. Double is not wrong, but the question is, if you double and partner, let's say, bids 2 spades, what do you do? Do you pass or do you bid 2 no trump? You don't want to bid 2 no trump then because now you're showing extras, right? You're above that 15 to 18. So here with a balanced hand and a stopper, I bid 2 no trump. I think that's pretty normal. And then left-hand opponent bids 3 diamonds, and it goes pass. And then I just can't resist. I'm just such a dummy. And here's what you should also know. West, our left-hand opponent, knows that we have a good hand and they're in there raising anyway. Now, that doesn't mean they have to have this hand, but let's be honest. If partner had more of these values, we probably wouldn't have seen them pass 3 diamonds. So me being a dummy, I'd sit there and say, hey, maybe the robot is just not getting this. Maybe I need to tell them again that I have the same hand that I've already told them I have. And then I double, right? Which, as you can see, did not work out too well for me because partner bid 3 spades and I proceeded to go down 4. And guess why? Well, I don't know. Left-hand opponent had ace, king, queen, 5th of spades. So this is a disaster. And it's a disaster no matter what we play, it looks like, right? We can't play no trump either. So once I bid 2 no trump and get bailed out with 3 diamonds, this hand should be over. I should just let it go. Let us play in this spot and either go minus way less than the 200 I took. And thank goodness I wasn't doubled, for God's sakes. Now we're talking minus 800 in this spot, which is still probably a little subterranean from 37, but still a pretty terrible score. And this is just me making a quick decision. And honestly, I just fell in love with a hand that I had already described to partner. And now I realize I'm at the top end. And part of me is just like thinking, and this is what goes through your head, I'm sure. If I feel like when I'm playing golf, these are the types of things that are going through my head as well. totally unnecessary thoughts. I'm saying, hey, maybe I should have doubled the first time. Let me try it this time, at that 3 level. And partner, to be honest, is right. They have to make a call here. Their hand is terrible. They don't expect us to win any tricks on defense. So they pick our 4-3, our worst 4-3 fit with ace, king, queen, fifth on the side, and we are in a bad spot. But no matter what they pick, their partner let them down. Me, I let them down in this hand. I went from maybe scratching the top 10 again to probably being on the outside of it with only 68.66%. And I have no one to blame but myself, and that is bridge, folks. You will see me do this again. But I have to say, for the first 2 videos back, 71 and 68, I'm happy, right? Even though I'm devastated with this last board, and I'm still, now that I'm rehashing it, I'm even more upset. It's just such a bad choice of bids. Just bidding the same hand twice. Don't do that, guys. Do not do what I do. Let my mistakes, keep you on the right path in the future. But I'm very happy with the feedback. I haven't, folks. Some of you had issues getting in this past week. That was my bad. I just didn't have the entries in fast enough. The tournament had gone before I'd gotten it. I had a few things going on personally this week. So promise you will be in next week for the rest of these deals. And once you sign up once, guys, do not sign up again. That's half of the problem. If you're signing up more than once, it's unnecessary. It's just me going through and picking out the names that are already in there. So just one time is enough, and you'll be in for all time. So thanks a lot for playing, guys. I'll be back next week with the final results, the top pros of the month, and then we'll start all over again in February for this weekend Pro-Am. So, guys, I will see you then. Take care, and don't forget to check out bridgelesson.com for the upcoming bridge quizzes and more great content just like this, folks. Take care.